Hello everyone, this is my teaching presentation for CSE 340, and the topic that I chose is PDO statement, fetch and fetch all. And I am Spencer Rafada, I'm majoring in software engineering. I'm sorry for my voice, I'm kind of sick, but let's jump right into it. So, fetch, the PDO statement function fetch, it fetches the next row from a result set. As we all know, when we connect to the database and we send a query using the PDO connection, it will return a result set which we can save into a variable. So this function fetch, it only points to the next row. I'll explain more to you later with more visuals. So the next statement is one of the parameters is the fetch mode. So I will show more of this later. And the return value for fetch is it depends on the fetch type or mode, like I listed above, and false is returned on failure or no more rows if we fetched everything. So here are some of the fetch modes that I find interesting. There's a bit more. I can provide more. You can look more fetch modes on the PHP documentation, but these are the ones that I find interesting. So fetch ASOC, it returns an array indexed by column name. Fetch both is it returns what the mode ASOC returns and a zero index column number. And the next one is fetch obj or object is it returns an anonymous object. And the next function is fetch all. It fetches the remaining rows from a result set. So before we go, I'd like to go show the database that I'll be using the database that we have, which is the car classification. So as of right now, so when we make a connection string and make a query, it returns this, for example, it returns this table or result set. So usually the cursor will always be on the first one, that's what it returns when you use the fetch function. And then when you fetch it, the cursor will go on the next one, the classic, and then sports, and then so on and so on. And then fetch all, it just returns everything. But I'll show you the difference between. So I made a code here wherein this is the same function that we have for our enhancements, and so this is my query, and this is the PHP Motors Connect wherein I do the PDO connection. So never mind this one. I'll just change this for so it's not confusing. Echo error connecting to DB. So when we do that, it prepares basically the database is connected, and then we give a query string, and then we prepare the database by sending the query string, and then we execute. So here are the different fetch functions. Like I said, we'll start with the most straightforward one, which is the fetch all. So when we fetch all, when we go to teaching presentation where I am, these are everything that it returns, everything in the result set. It's basically this one here. So it returns an array with the class column name and the value, and then it returns both its mode is usually, you can see there's a column name for classic, and you see the zero index, and that is because it has the fetch both. Next one we'll work on fetch ASOC. So with the fetch ASOC, it only returns the next one, which is the classification name, the column name, and the value. So if I write another one in here, I duplicate this one with a shortcut, classification 2, and then I'll do this one too. So when I do this, it's gonna get the next one because the cursor moved like what I explained earlier. So I don't know why it's not getting SUV though. But let's move on to the next one. Uh, let's, let's move on to the next one. So let's erase the one that we add and let's uncomment the fetch vote. We've seen how this is returned from the fetchAll. So fetch vote, it returns the column name and the value and a 0 index array and the value. So the next one is the fetch object, which is what we said as an anonymous object. So it returns an object. You see how the type of what we receive from fetch both and fetch assoc is an array. So when we get the fetch object, it will return a key value pair where it's like classification name and classic. And that is everything that I have for you for my presentation in regards to fetch and fetchAll. This is the link that the reference that I have for for the PDOStatement function fetch and fetchAll, and I can link it down in the description below. Thank you.